Bhagavad Gita gives this perspective. This is not just a perspective, this is reality. So Bhagavad Gita says there are 5 factors which contribute to success of a particular activity, of any endeavor, and whatever may be your definition of success. You want to succeed in it, there are 5 factors which contribute to it. Bhagavad Gita says they are Adhishtanam, Tatakarta, Karanam cha pratak vida, Vividas cha pratak cheshta, Daivam chaivatra panchamam.
Hey friends, whether you are a manager, a working executive, a business person, an entrepreneur, a student, whoever you are, wherever you are, I am sure all of you, all of us face difficult situations in workplaces when we don't know what to do, when we don't know what are the right things to do and how should you react to those stimuli presented to you by others in the workplace. In very simple words, how do we manage ourselves? How does one manage oneself in the difficult circumstances of the workplace? And when we face those circumstances, we often think if there was someone whom we could ask these questions, possibly Lord Krishna himself, as to what are the right things to do. But then, because we cannot directly ask our questions to Lord Krishna, probably a plausible solution is to talk to someone who understands his philosophies, who has spent his life exploring things and answers what Lord Krishna would provide to us in these circumstances. So friends, to answer all these questions, today we have with us a very special guest, Balram Shakti Das. He did his engineering from NIT Tiruchirappalli and then went on to the United States to do his PhD in material sciences from the Pennsylvania State University. But he came back in India with different thoughts and his own newly found dedication towards Krishna. And for the past 15 years, he is a practicing monk trying to understand how Krishna would do things and in turn giving those lessons and preachings to the laymen like us. So without any further ado, let's begin this discussion, which is hopefully going to be a very strong food for thought in the next 1 hour or so. Let's begin. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for finding time for us today. It's a feeling of being overwhelmed actually. I have so many questions which bother me, and then there would be so many questions that our listeners and viewers would have, and we really look for some light to these questions. We always think, what is the right thing to do in this situation? We always think, what would Lord Krishna tell to us? But then we don't know how to go and talk to him. So there you are to kind of tell and interpret his lessons for all of us in simple language. So thank you once again.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, our pleasure. So here's my first question to you, and that's something that I talked in the introduction also. A question that I also worry about sometimes in the workplace. There you are trying to do good things in life, trying to do your best for the organization and workplace. But then there are people who try to pull you down. I mean, it's only natural, that happens everywhere. I know that. But then at times I feel disturbed. What should I do? I mean, what's the right thing to do at that point in time when I know what I'm doing is the right thing? But then there are people who want to pull you down, who want to prove that you are wrong, who show your intentions are not correct. What to do? How to deal with such a situation?
Well, I would say you have opened something which could be answered on a very superficial level.
Yeah.
In which case, it would be just a stopgap solution which would not really help you in the long run.
Yeah, that's what we've been trying, those stopgap solutions, but they are not working. And hence, there you are to give us the real solution, the real light.
I mean, anything valuable doesn't come cheap. You know that, right? People say this is cheap and best. I mean,
yes.
It can be either cheap or it can be best. It cannot be both. So anything that that is valuable, it comes with a cost. So we need to understand the root cause of the problem and address the root cause of the issue. Then you will have a sustainable solution to this actually. So we have to see if we are getting disturbed. It has a lot to do with our internal makeup, what we are internally made of. Whether we are internally wired to respond to the situation in a very graceful way. But sometimes, or most of the times, we may not be internally wired to respond in a very graceful way. The internal wiring, it is our experiences in life which shape our personality. Our conscious choice of, or many times even unconscious choice of our ambience, the whom we choose to associate with, spend time with, what we eat, it all shapes our internal wiring, and that internal wiring decides whether we are immune enough to resist the onslaught of the external stimuli that surround us. So, is it that I will give you a tip and then once you have that tip, you are well equipped to face the world, which is going to throw unlimited number of situations at you?
All the time?
No. I mean, it's not that easy at all.
Okay.
So, I mean, if someone says that here is the tip and you can win the world, they are just cheating you. And Bhagavad Gita does not give that kind of a
tip
solution at all. Not everyone may share their value system. Share your value system. Like the way you are asking a question, you should understand it's your personal question.
Yes.
It's not a common question for everyone. Your audience may not share the same question. You should understand. It is your internal wiring which is creating this question for you. Others may think, to hell with anyone, all that matters is what pleases me. So I don't really want to, if they are doing it, I will retaliate. So their question might be, how do I best retaliate so that I cause more damage to that person than what he is causing to me? But the way you have shaped your question, how do I not get affected and still do good to others? Not everyone may share this same question. So the very fact that you have put this question in itself indicates your internal wiring. And others will have some other question that shows their internal wiring.
So then, if I were to understand you correctly, the first thing that you are telling me is that there are no quick answers to what we face in life, and when it's a part of me, then over a period of time I have to understand how I kind of respond to that stimuli. But there will not be one tip that Krishna would come and tell us that this is what you do in this situation. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yeah, because our personality that we have is a complex makeup of whatever we have experienced for years in this lifetime, and according to Bhagavad Gita, in many previous lifetimes, whatever we have experienced, it has shaped our personality. So therefore there is no quick fix solution which will change that. So even one small traumatic experience that we may experience in this life, it takes us sometimes years, sometimes decades to overcome, and sometimes even after decades, we are not successful in overcoming such traumatic impressions that are there within our heart.
So are you trying to tell me, Prabhu, that we continue to live with whatever we have surrounding us? There must be things that we still can do to kind of at least maintain our balance and keep our calm and peace. There must be things that For example, Krishna would have told to Arjun to kind of put him to do those things. So what are some of those things?
Well, the first thing is to understand our internal makeup. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that there are three kinds of forces which control us.
Three forces.
They are called the gunas or the modes. You might have heard there is sattvagun, rajogun, tamogun.
Exactly.
In English, it's called the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance.
Okay.
So, sometime the early morning is mode of goodness. Very early in the morning, you feel fresh, you feel very reflective. Lot of good ideas, good thoughts come, and once the day progresses, beyond 10 a.m., 11 a.m., the time for mode of passion starts, rajogun. You want to be active, you want to do things, you want to get things done. When the day wears down further at night, you want to just wind up, right? That I'm just giving you an example. That is tamogun. That which makes you a little bit lethargic and not so inclined to be very active. So this is how the day, even the day can be divided into these three gunas, and many times what we eat has shaped us. Even food items are divided into these three gunas. And a person who has been thus shaped, he can be identified based on how he responds to a particular stimulus. Mm-hmm. His response to a stimulus one can identify what is the predominant guna, even though generally there is a mixture of gunas. No one is purely in sattva, purely in rajas, or purely in tamas.
Okay.
But definitely there is a mixture of gunas. But anyway, without getting into these details, but the point is, your question is, if in workplace someone is trying to constantly pull you down, and he's not allowing you to progress and things like that. So the point is two things, which is not exactly a quick fix solution that I am presenting. Like I was hearing one of your videos,
okay,
where you said that MBA, why should someone do an MBA? So 3 points that you shared. So you said MBA is a perspective course. It's not a content generating course. It's not going to generate content for you. It's a perspective course. So I am just trying to give you a perspective as to sometimes these perspectives do help when you get the right perspective to look at a thing. Many times we get irritated, we get annoyed seeing the way a particular person is, you can say, acting with us. So we immediately feel that we are being victimized by this person. Mm-hmm. But in reality, we all are victims. This is what Bhagavad Gita says, right?
All of us.
We all are victims of the experiences and that has shaped us in our life, right? Like I'll give you an example. Like my sister, when she was growing up, she had a friend in school who used to be very mean with her, always, and mean with most of the other friends also. So every day when my sister used to come back home, she used to have a lot of complaints about this friend. One day my mother told that I understand that you are very annoyed, but you remember, maybe she has had a troubled childhood. Something was missing in her childhood, which is pushing her to act in this way. And one day my sister happened to visit my friend's house, this friend's house, and she realized that she lost her father very early in her childhood. So she grew up without a father. And my sister, she's very attached to her father, our father. So she thought, oh, this is such a big void. And then she immediately remembered what my mother gave was a perspective. Nothing changed. But just that my sister was seeing herself as being the victim and that friend to be the victimizer. Now,
That changed.
When she saw, oh, such a big victim here, she has to grow up without a father, and her whole thing changed. She no longer saw herself as being a victim.
Okay.
She thought, oh, she is a victim. And her response is because she is being victimized by the circumstances. Then my sister came home and told my mother, oh, you're right actually. And then she responded to that perspective. Nothing had changed from the other friend. Just that she had received this additional perspective. She is such a big victim. So when she started seeing this in that way, then you saw that she started neglecting all the mean gestures and mean things that was coming from the friend.
Wow.
And when she responded in this way, when this was a very welcome surprise for the other friend, she thought, oh, this girl, she never responded this way. And this melted her heart.
Okay.
And then within a few days, they became the best of friends and they still remain
So
very good friends. So the point is, generally, when we complain, we feel we have been victimized by that person. But in reality, everyone is a victim of the situations. Actually.
his or her own circumstances.
Yeah.
So if I were to kind of believe and firmly believe in what you are telling, then one way of looking at it is that they have their own circumstances which they are trying to deal with. And so possibly it's not about me, possibly it's about them only. They are trying to kind of...
And my response to that situation is also based on my internal wiring. Probably not everyone is getting as disturbed as I am.
Possible.
Maybe the extent to which I am getting disturbed is an indication of my own attachments.
Possible.
Right? And the extent to which I am getting disturbed is probably an indication that I am not getting nourishment from other avenues. Right? For example, according to Bhagavad Gita and according to the great saints who have explained from the Bhagavad Gita, they say that just like a physical disease has its own symptoms, right? Like someone has fever, the temperature of the body rises, right? And one feels body pain and incapacitated and things like that. These are symptoms of a sick body.
Okay.
Similarly, malnourishment, physical malnourishment also. You have tiredness, lethargy, and all these things are symptoms of physical malnourishment. Similarly, there are symptoms of a malnourished heart.
Okay.
There are symptoms of a malnourished heart. When the heart is not sufficiently malnourished, sufficiently nourished with higher thoughts, affection, warmth, a very praiseworthy goal. So if the heart is not nourished with these things, then that malnourished heart manifests symptoms like envy, intolerance towards others' growth, fault finding, constantly finding faults with other people's work, self-deception. When you find fault in yourself, because you always want to project yourself as greater than what you really are, you want to hide your own faults and not show it to others, right? And constantly craving for fame, recognition.
Okay.
Because we are not probably nourished by more sustainable emotions like affection and other such things. So, whether you are a person who is showing envy or you are a recipient of envy,
Exactly.
and you are getting very disturbed by it, it probably means we are ourselves not sufficiently nourished with affection.
My heart is
My
what,
heart.
or the
I mean,
person who's
the
kind
person
of
who is displaying envy, his heart
Exactly.
is definitely not nourished. But when I am getting disturbed, which means I am also probably, my heart is also not sufficiently
completely nourished. Okay.
Because solution can come, sustainable solution can come with internal change only. You can't change the externals.
And Prabhu, so that's where I want this discussion to move forward. You cautioned me in the beginning that there are no quick fixes or tips that you are gonna give. Completely appreciate. But now that here we are, we understand that this guy has a malnourished heart, but so do I.
So do I.
If I, for a minute, don't want to worry about that chap, now I want to worry about my heart. What should I do? Give us some light as to how do I make my heart better?
Now the point is, so if I'm getting so upset with what's happening at workplace,
Exactly.
which means I have a very weak alternate life. Then I have to address, how is my relationship with my family members, with my
Okay.
friends? Because if I'm getting sufficient nourishment from there,
Yes.
then the workplace issues are just a part of your life, but you have a bigger part which is quite nourishing.
Well, yes, that makes complete sense. But in that case, if I might find my nourishment and fulfillment from my family, then would it be fair to conclude that there's only this much that I'm gonna do in the workplace? These are my hours and I'm gonna spend, but I'm gonna look for my nourishment and fulfillment from my family and friends and personal life, and not necessarily from workplace. So I give that the secondary importance.
It is not secondary importance. How it works is not as simplistic as you think.
Agree.
Right? When you are sufficiently nourished
At home.
then the background noises which go around you at your workplace will affect you much lesser. So then your ability to focus on your job on hand,
Okay.
even though it may be for shorter hours, will be much more effective.
Okay.
So that way you will get things done much more faster and much more efficiently. It's not that you'll become inefficient at work.
Okay.
It's just that if you have, if you are less affected by the noise around you, it just makes you all the more efficient and effective. That's all.
Sure, Prabhu, got your points. You know, this is so enriching and fulfilling to hear what you are saying. And so let's now proceed this discussion, carry forward. So what I seem to be understanding is that, hey, you have a family, you have a workplace, and when you kind of balance out all, and when you seek nourishment, more nourishment from one place possibly where you find more positive vibes, and then that would be carried in another place. So now let me take this whole scenario into what we call professional or workplace success. What is the definition of success in that matter? Should we also seek or kind of define our success in terms of our personal lives and the fulfillment that we achieve? Or do we also associate with what we do in the workplace? And if we do that, then possibly we'll be seeking more hours in the workplace or professional life vis-a-vis personal life, because we see, all those entrepreneurs, all those very successful businessmen and businesswomen spend hours, like sometimes 14, 15, 16 hours in workplace. So they are far more in the workplace than at homes. For example, how many people would disagree, in the entire universe, that let's say a Steve Jobs is successful? The whole universe, the whole world looks at success in a certain manner, no? Maybe there would be 0.1% of the people who might say, no, he was not so successful. But the majority would always think that successful Steve Jobs, successful Narayana Murthy, successful Ratan Tata. And so if that's the universally accepted definition of success, then is that the right benchmark for everyone? In that direction, or I would still not worry about, what world thinks about success? That's kind of my question, and I'm still looking for an answer.
Yeah, well, I would say most people fall within that category because according to the Vedic scriptures, the human being, the predominant mode in the human being is actually Rajogun, mode of passion, which is considered to be one of the lower modes, because it drives a person to work harder than what he actually needs to. Mm-hmm. And keeps him on his toes for no reason. Mm-hmm. Right? So that is the mode, because most people are controlled by that mode.
Okay.
They may in general share a similar definition of success, right? But
you still think that it shouldn't be the universal definition.
I am not here to say whether it should be or should not be.
Okay.
But the point is, if you accept that definition of success, we have to understand it comes at what cost. Mm-hmm. And if you are willing to pay that cost. So the nature of Rajogun is it gives gratification but not satisfaction. Mm-hmm. It is like trying to douse a fire by pouring petrol in it. Right? So it's going to blaze more. Mm-hmm. You will think that if I get this, I'll be happy. But you realize that by the time you get it, all the more it increases your greed.
Okay.
And you want to get more.
Well, that's true.
So we have to see whether am I looking for satisfaction or am I looking for aggrandizement, or am I looking for accumulation? Mm-hmm. So, but the fact is, if you are looking for satisfaction and trying to accumulate, we should understand that the more you accumulate, the more you become greedy. So define what you want. Mm-hmm. So if you are looking for satisfaction, some basic minimum needs are definitely needed. So that is what defines a person who is Sattva-guni from a person who is Rajoguni. So I will just read.
Please.
The worker who is free from all material attachments and false ego, who is enthusiastic and resolute and who is indifferent to success or failure is a worker in the mode of goodness. So, he is not very attached. And so who can be indifferent to success or failure? When a person who has a duty-bound consciousness but is not very attached. So, the way, see, there is a gap between what you have and what makes you satisfied. Okay, there is this gap.
Exactly.
The person in the mode of passion tries to bridge the gap by increasing what you
Efforts.
have.
Yes, yes.
But what he does not realize is that with this also increases.
Exactly.
The gap never gets bridged.
Yeah.
Whereas a mode of goodness person addresses the issue by seeing how I can reduce my needs. How I can learn to be satisfied with less. So ultimately, if satisfaction is what that matters, then if I can learn the art of being satisfied with less, then wouldn't it save me much more time to do what I like to do than what I have to do in this quest for bridging this gap?
Well, this is very interesting, Prabhu, but I'm still trying to assimilate what you are saying. So, if I understand you correctly, are you trying to say that one should try to be satisfied sooner? And if that is the case, then we would have no large organizations like Apple. We wouldn't have bigger workplaces which would provide employment to millions of people. If everyone gets satisfied that soon, and I care only about my happiness and satisfaction, we don't have people who have desperate hunger and passion to take this curve up. So, you build large empires and organizations and countries.
And keep people working all the time, more hours, when there is no need for that.
You think so?
Absolutely. I mean, if people are satisfied with simple things in life, then Apple or Samsung or all these things, they don't have to keep aggressively making smartphones after smartphones, iPod, iPad, generation 2.1, 3.1, 4.2, 6.2. Why? Because people are constantly getting and still feeling high and dry, not satisfied inside. And you are building such big empires to just leave people high and dry. In one sense, in the name of, this next generation laptop or smartphone will keep you more happy, when the person who is manufacturing it knows the way it is manufactured, they know that they should be eagerly waiting for the next product. Otherwise, your business is not going to run. Right?
Well, that's true.
So, which means the whole thing, this is the nature of Rajogun, nature of mode of passion, that keep people high and dry and craving all the time so that I can make my money. Well, this is not a very noble thought. The whole world around you can be like that. But we have to recalibrate.
Got you.
We have to recalibrate. Am I going to work in the direction? See, ultimately, we have to understand that the gap needs to be bridged. How am I going to bridge this gap? It's a conscious choice, and it starts with that conscious choice. The choice is not the end, because it's a process, because our internal wiring will take a much longer time. So, for example, a diabetic patient, a person who is a big time foodie and he really likes to eat sweets, has been just diagnosed of diabetes. Right? Now the doctor says, you want to die soon, an inglorious death, keep indulging in these sweets and carbohydrates. Now sweets and carbohydrates has been his mainstay, that which has really given him satisfaction, kicks, right? Now the same thing is kicking him back and forth,
Exactly.
His life is... So now that he has understood that this is poison for me, it's not that immediately his craving for these things will go away. But then he will consciously try to think in terms of, do I have to respond to what is right or what I like? So at least a value system he has received. So the thirst and the craving is due to this gap. Now I know that my natural internal wiring is to try to bridge the gap this way.
Okay.
But now that I know, that is going to be a futile endeavor. Right? It's not that immediately I will stop doing this. But at least sometimes I will try doing this.
Okay.
I may be unsuccessful. I will fall down. But I will get up. We don't have to give up the endeavor. When you know something is right, even though I may not have the inclination to do the right thing, I may have the inclination to do the wrong thing. But at least knowledge of what is right, what is wrong, helps you sometimes curb the instinct to do the wrong thing which I may like, and it may sometimes give you the impetus to do the right thing which you may not like right now. Right? Like I saw in some of your interviews, you had interviewed people like one who started out being a fashion designer, right? And then later he came and started setting up shops, organic and natural shops in remote places in Uttarakhand, because he wanted to move in the direction of a more sustainable, responsible, socially responsible life. Socially responsible life may not gratify your senses aggressively, like probably a job in a fashion designing and that thing may give. But then once a person gets used to nourishment, which comes in the form of responsible life, the intoxication that comes through instant gratification, one will be able to give it up.
Curb it a little bit.
So for that, you should give yourself a chance to make the right choices based on what will nourish rather
your
than
heart
what will,
and your soul.
Yeah, rather than what will intoxicate. Because intoxication will give instant kick. But then it will keep you working like an ass to keep that intoxication sustainable. But nourishment does not need you to work like an ass. Real nourishment. And nourishment is what is sustainable. Intoxication is absolutely not sustainable. You have to keep taking those shots again and again and again and again and again and again.
Exactly.
So therefore you need to make a choice. How am I going to bridge this gap? Even though my instinct says this way, but if I understand that this is not, with this will happen. The gap will never be bridged. So I can make a choice. At least sometimes let me try to do this.
Got you.
And see the response. Wait and observe. How does it feel like?
What you say makes sense, Prabhu, though I have to confess that it's never going to be easy. Bringing this down is never easy. And it's a conscious choice one has to make. It's going to take its own good time. But you saw that seeds in our hearts. That's a good thing. And we'll definitely think about it. Let me take this discussion a little more forward. But I still don't want to go without some more understanding of, success. Let's say I have made my definition of success. Let's say, I'm not trying to emulate someone who's like a Steve Jobs or anyone for that matter, and I have made my own definition. It has, a significant time for my family for some mental nourishment, and it nonetheless has those possibilities of contributing to the workplace. It's my definition, however I build it. So, how do I go about executing it? How do I go about, with this definition that, I'm kind of making with my own efforts and my own understanding, what next? How do I still do the right things and not get deviated here and there? I hope you understand my question.
See, well, one thing that we can do is we understand that not everything is dependent on our endeavor. That does not mean we stop endeavoring, but we have to understand, because Bhagavad Gita gives this perspective. This is not just a perspective, this is reality. So Bhagavad Gita says there are 5 factors which contribute to success of a particular activity, of any endeavor. And whatever may be your definition of success, you want to succeed in it, there are 5 factors which contribute to it. Bhagavad Gita says they are adhishtanam, tatakarta, karanam cha pratak vida, vividas cha pratak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchamam. 5 things.
Okay.
So what these 5 are? Adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means place, or it can refer either to the place or your body. Okay. So place, as you were in one of your videos asking your thing, why did you choose Uttarakhand of all the places? You think, there are vibrant places like Mumbai, Delhi, where, lakhs and crores of people will get to know what you're doing. Why in a hilly area in Uttarakhand? Right? So, even in the outside world, it is understood and accepted that place makes a big impact. Like, say, for example, if India is playing in India cricket,
That's
the home pitch advantage, they know the pitch better. They have honed their skills based on the pitch that is they know. The audience will be supporting them. That enhances one's ability to perform. So definitely, the place has an impact where you do it, right? To success. Adhishtanam, tata karta. Karta means, who am I identifying myself as? What is my ego? By ego, I am not meaning it in a very wrong connotation. In a positive sense, what is my self-identification? For example, if I see myself as an entrepreneur, if I see, I have it in me to be an entrepreneur, I want to be an entrepreneur, I am an entrepreneur. These kind of affirmations will make us endeavor in the direction of whatever may be my entrepreneurial endeavor. So, if I think I am a teacher, then any opportunity for
teaching,
some entrepreneurial venture that comes, I will think, I'm just wasting my time. I would probably be using my time better in a teaching and opportunity that comes to me, right? So what you identify yourself as, so that's a very important aspect in whether you wish to succeed. Like many times, there are people who enroll in engineering college. Their father is a businessman. Father has told, beta, एक डिग्री ले ले, तू मेरा बिजनेस ही करेगा. आपके लिए इतना बड़ा बिजनेस मैंने करके रखा है, आप बिजनेस करो. और बेटा को भी बिजनेस ही करने का इच्छा है. वो कितना मन लगा के वो इंजीनियरिंग कोर्स करेगा वो, क्योंकि उसको पता है मुझे खाली एक डिग्री चाहिए. He knows I just need a degree. So he will not invest his heart into it. He will not lose his night's sleep thinking about a very fantastic engineering concept that he has learned. Right?
Absolutely.
So that karta bhav is very important to achieve success, right? If he sees himself as a businessman, once he enters into his father's business, he has a head start.
Okay.
He will not have his identity crisis. He will not think, oh, what am I doing? Where am I? What is it that I am trying to do? He will not have such questions. Everything is sorted out, clear. He has a head start there, right? So this adhishtanam tata karta karanam. Karanam means usually you should be sensually properly endowed to accomplish that task. Like if I want to be the fastest 100 meters runner, and if I have a polio attacked leg, let's say for example, it's not that it is impossible, but it is very difficult. Because you are not sensually properly endowed to accomplish that task. Maybe in Paralympics, in Paralympics they say whatever, where people with physical disabilities, where they compete, you can compete there, but you can't be but it will be very difficult for you to be the fastest runner.
Agree.
Competing with healthy people, right? So this is the third factor. Fourth is vividascha pratak cheshta. Your endeavors do matter, but you have to understand endeavor is one part of it, right? And then finally daivam. Daivam means what Bhagavad Gita calls as destiny. Destiny is not some abstract thing. Destiny is something like your bank balance, which you have built painstakingly over decades.
Okay.
How much you can draw upon it, right? So if you have done good things, you have pious background. If you have done bad things, you have bad bank account. So how much you can draw upon it? How much corpus you have built that you can draw from there. So that also contributes. So therefore, here we are in the world where everyone tells, just do it. As if everything depends on your endeavor.
What you do.
But in this world, everyone knows it doesn't work that way. You see people who are putting much less endeavor and accomplishing much more than what you are.
Yes, we see them all the time.
Right? So, the point is, you have to see these 5 factors acting.
Well, this is truly enlightening. So please allow me to repeat these 5 factors for my own understanding and getting you to correct me. So it's the place where you are, your surroundings, they will shape the things that you think you do. And second is about your own identification with certain things. Probably that was part of where you were in that place and which families you were born and what kind of things
to some extent
surround
it
you.
can shape. Yeah.
And then the third is your own capabilities, what you seem to be saying, endowed with certain things. So that's about your own inherent skills and capabilities, which make you more suitable for doing one thing over the other.
Yeah.
The fourth is that celebrated endeavor that we talk about all the time. Just do it. But that's one of the 5. And the fifth is karma, if I understood it rightly.
Yeah, karma.
Your old karmas.
Yeah, your own karma, which you have earned. So it's not something abstract. So you have built the karmic bank balance, which allows you to whatever you can draw from it. That's how much you can draw from it.
Wow, this is really interesting. Let me ask this to you then. I mean, you went to US to do a PhD, right, in material sciences, and you possibly came back as a monk or with thoughts of becoming a monk and devoting your life. So is it because you went to US it happened, because you were then at a place that was calling and you were predestined to go there and all those feelings would emerge? Or wherever you would have gone to, let's say, a Delhi university, or you would have come to an IIM Kashipur also, the same thoughts would have emerged? Or is it that place shaped you to become what you became?
Well, I will never be able to answer this question because I don't have access to, I would say, to answer this question, there is insufficient data.
We know the parameters, but we don't know their weightage.
Yeah, we don't know their weightage. Like say, for
Okay.
example, without getting into that specific question that you have asked me, I will just try to little bit more elaborate
Sure.
on this. So we are not claiming that endeavors will not lead to success. That's a wrong understanding of this whole thing. But the point is, for the time being, let us sort of park the first three factors aside.
Okay.
The place, the karta bhav, and
capabilities,
the capabilities.
endowment.
Let us just keep that aside. Let us just consider these two factors of your karmic bank balance versus your endeavor. The only thing is, you do not know in a particular activity how much is dependent on your endeavor.
You just can't say.
You just can't say. There are certain things which are so powerfully tilted towards you're sort of completely destined for success, irrespective of your endeavor. There can be situations like that. Like say, for example, someone.
That lucky chap that we talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone decides that मेरा पिताजी मेरे पीछे इतना पढ़ो बोल के इस बार मैं सबक सिखाऊंगा उनको. I will not study, I will not write the exam also. I will fail the exam. He decides. And suddenly comes pandemic and they decide no need to write exams, you will pass everyone. So here is a case study where there is no endeavor but success.
Okay.
Right? So if that is, so something can be as predestined as that.
Now we know.
Right? But in other cases, there could be things which are reasonably evenly stacked. To the extent you endeavor, you will succeed to that extent. Like if I say, Professor Batra, can you just push this 50 kilogram wheat bag? Just pull it and take it there. So the amount of energy that you put to pull it, to that extent you will be able to take it there. Now if I tell you, Professor Batra, can you please move this wall little bit around? You'll say, you can push and push and push and push. You may probably develop some good biceps, but you will not be able to move the wall because it is, how much you can move is not proportional to your endeavor.
Got you.
So the point is, whether in a particular situation, whether you are pushing or pulling a gunny bag or you are pushing a wall, you don't know. How much the what do you say that? Yeah,
would Krishna know?
Krishna knows.
Krishna knows.
Krishna knows. Right? So the point is, the take home here is, so therefore if you fail according to whatever may be your definition of success, we don't have to criticize our own endeavor and capability completely because we do not know the unseen forces which may be stacked against us. Right? Destiny. Or if we are successful, we don't have to take all the credit for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
There may be a better endowed person who has put in more effort than you, but the odds were stacked against him in terms of destiny. So you are more successful.
So, Prabhu, just a clarification. Is destiny or luck the right word, or should we then call it karma only? I mean, what's the right? Or, I mean
When
whatever
I
is
say destiny, I mean karma only.
karma. Okay. But that one is not unplanned. That one is not like random. That luck or destiny comes from your own
Yeah,
accumulated.
your past endeavors has created your current destiny.
Got you.
Your current endeavor will shape your future destiny.
Got you. Well, this is really interesting. This is music to ears. This is food for thought for all of us to kind of, plan certain things that we can. There are others that we just can't, that I just understood now. But then, wherever possible, possibly try to bring this a little down rather than pushing yourself on this direction all the time. And then also understanding that if, from those standard accepted definitions of success, if you happen to be successful, even then there are other factors at play and it's not just you. And therefore, probably maintaining your humility is so much important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for all these words, and they will guide us in our actions. And possibly from tomorrow, for me, when I go to workplace, you said it's not gonna change in 12 hours, I understand, but I'll have probably a slightly better perspective.
Yes.
To deal with certain things, that bothered me all the time thus far, probably will bother me less from tomorrow onwards.
Slowly.
Slowly, I am sure. And I'm sure our listeners would also, kind of get cues to their own questions and queries through this discussion. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.